What we are doing right now, we are helping to build customer software starting from the scratch in one cases, or sometimes we have, started from the middle of that development in order to help them change the world. So I believe that's the reason why we founded the company, and it's the still same reason why we are running it right now.
Welcome to 20-Minute Leaders. Just sit back, relax, and learn from the leaders of today. It's a journey. Each one is different, unique, inspiring. Let's get started. This episode is powered by J Ventures, a community-driven VC fund in Silicon Valley, in partnership with Lomitech, and sponsored by Homeward Ventures, Hippo Insurance, Upwest, Hillel at Stanford, Leap, and Birthright Excel. Welcome to 20-Minute Leaders. Meet Andriy Sambir, the CEO of LinkUp Studio. Andriy Sambir is the CEO of a top software development company located in Ukraine. In his 20s, Andriy founded and led LinkUp Studio, product-driven software development and design company that today are one of the best SaaS companies in Ukraine. Having gained over 8+ years of working on digital projects, he found it important to share his experience. That's how he founded Building Digital Product Podcast, the show for startups and entrepreneurs about the things Andriy would like someone to tell him at the beginning.
Isn't it crazy that we're here talking about innovation, talking about startups and tech, and we started the conversation by affirming that it's good that we didn't have an airstrike today. I just found it. I found that it was meaningful enough to stop and ponder on that for a second. But Andriy, you're a technologist running the company at LinkUp within Ukraine, and so tell me a little bit about your journey and what LinkUp is.
Sure, of course. I found LinkUp when I was 20 years old. So, we have this kind of classic story of the company that started in the dormitory with, a few friends who were very naive. First of all, very naive, very inexperienced in that time. But what I noticed and why I started the company as the software developer in that time, I was young, but I already have been experienced as a software developer for 5 years. I started very, very early. I noticed that lots of these people in Ukraine who come into their jobs as developers, designers, and etc. I mean, people in tech, they are, applying to their jobs from 8 to 5, something like this, and it's job for them. And I saw lots of that, people with great opportunities, people with great ideas, which they are coming, to Ukraine to build their startups. Some of them failed, some of them succeeded. But something that I used to miss that time, and still in some sense I'm missing, that I wanted to build a company with tech professionals who helping those peoples with the ideas and with their businesses to really build it. There are people, and my customers right now, there are people with the awesome ideas, with blowing mind, things that change in businesses around them. And to be honest, I can say that some of their business actually changing the world in the tech perspective. And what we are doing right now, we are helping to build them the software starting from the scratch in one cases, or sometimes we have, started from the middle of that development in order to help them change the world. So I believe that's the reason why we founded the company, and it's the still same reason why we are running it right now. So we finally those people with the really great businesses and helping them.
And so we're talking about this, this gap between, innovation and the ability to actually execute technologically. And so you're finding that you have these people that want to innovate, that want to build these great products, but they're lacking perhaps the technological capacity. And so what is sort of this medium in which you work with them? Is it a project based? Is it retainer based? How do you manage the collaboration with these innovators?
I understand. Sure. Well, that's actually depends from the type of every project. For us there are two main types in case you would like it to categorize. There are startups and there are existing businesses. So and the approach to to them, in some sense is similar, but in some sense is different. And I will try to explain right now. So let's take the startup. Usually people come in with the ideas, and what people have, they have understanding of the market. They have some kind of the connections in the domain area. For example, I remember the great startup who came to us with the great idea, super simple idea. And, as you know, everything genius is super simple. They wanted to automate buying of the goods in the shopping store in case you are buying food for the large group or for the large group, or, so there are, different people, different dietary restrictions, different rations. And, people usually buying too much potato, too much something, they throw it out. So they just created this simple Excel spreadsheet. And, and this was the solving of the problem. But the Excel spreadsheet was not usable, very often break, all of that, formulas, all of that. So they created the idea, okay, how about we build the software? So a great example, they knew the market, they perfectly knew that business model is working. They knew how to make it monetize, but they don't know how to build the software itself. And this is the moment where we came in. So we built this software from the scratch, and right now this is the successful startup working on the market. They have the mobile app, they have the website application, their user base is still growing. And this is how we help them in that moment. So we listened what they wanted to do. We telling them, is it technically possible at all? Because sometimes people come in with the very genius idea, but they just technically kind of either impossible, either it goes so much that, business-wise it's impossible. So this is the example about a startup. And the second example, it can be about the businesses. So imagine we have the company in New York, and unfortunately cannot mention the name because of the NDA, but in fact, they are processing thousands of documents every day in the real estate area. And this company, as far as I know, they have up to 15 employees, thousands of requests every day. Why? Because we build the software for them that automate 70% of this process. And and they can do it. And by the technology, we help them to stay on the market and not fail. Some of the competitors that try to hire more people to proceed all of that, and they bankrupt. These companies survived and actually successfully growing because they use technology to solve their problems.
Interesting. So you're touching on this idea that in today's world, pretty much, if you really want to be relevant, you need technology, right? I mean, you need technology to be able to work at the scale that a business needs to work at, and there's still, it's not obviously accessible to everybody. And so you're here bridging this gap. If somebody has a great idea or a great business, you can help bring them up to speed. And how do you see, though, that work, long term? Because at the end, technology is a core part of a business. And at the end, you're working with them sort of as an outsourced model. So they're working on the business, you're working on the technology. Is it a healthy relationship? Does it work, long term, where the technology lives outside of their core business or their core team? How do you manage that relationship so that there is always this constant communication and business understanding?
So as I mentioned at the beginning, lots of software engineers that I saw in Ukraine, they used to go to the work, from 8 to 5, and I was like, okay, I've done my job, I go in. And something that I would like to change, the approach of my developer, and that's what we're doing right now. All of my people, they're we called ourselves product focused or product oriented, if you want. So when we working with someone, so you just mentioned taking technology outside. Well, this is not something we like to say. We always trying to be the part of the, our customer member. I actually just kind of hate the word customer. I'm more like word partners, and it's starting from everything, right, from the relationship we should have. So my engineers, in case we have the team of engineers, designers, QA, they are very deeply integrated into business of our customer, very deeply. And it's starting from how we working every day, finishing with how we drinking, when we launch something, in case we have some small parties and so on, we're visiting each other. So I would not tell that working with the LinkUp is some kind of the take it technology outside. And something that I telling to my employees when I hire them, I tell them that, look, in our corporate culture, we let in smart people doing smart job, and everything else is supposed to be automated. So like even inside of our company, we're constantly working on everything that is supposed to be automated. Like we wanted to focus on the products we build, all of that, invoices, billing, all of that other stuff. It's all automated as maximum as possible, even inside of our company. The same we're doing for our customer.
Okay, so so you're saying every organization needs automation. Every organization needs to use external tools. You're just changing the threshold of when that happens. So, for example, for you as a tech company, you're saying my threshold is that I need some of these, these common tools like billing and invoicing and HR management. We're going to use other SaaS products for that, which obviously pretty much every other company uses as well in the tech space. But you're saying, but we can actually provide we can increase the threshold so that companies who actually need technology for their business needs will also get it. As you work on these products and these solutions, how involved do you need to be in the business or in understanding the business? Because for instance, if we're building consumer products, right, there's a lot of emphasis on the messaging and the look, the design, the customer experience, and there's a lot of quick, back and forth that need to happen, a lot of A/B tests that need to happen. How do you work with the companies to manage that?
Well, just to make it more interesting, when we just started, I personally was involved in every project that we built, and that was very exciting, very interesting, right? Because you learn so much. Like you have the call in the morning, and you focus on one domain. Like in the evening, you have different call, you focus on the different domain. Obviously, when companies starting to grow and scale, like when we're not 10 people in the room, but right now we are more near 100 people in the room right now, LinkUp size. Obviously, I cannot manage every project because then, capacity and productivity low down. I can, you can be focused only on a few things at one time. Or actually, you can be focused on one thing at one time, but you just, change the focus sometimes. But right now, LinkUp work, like as I told, like each of the product, they have their own team, and each of the team, they must have business analyst, someone who deeply dives into their domain area. We cannot help you in case we don't understand your business. And I honestly tell him, like on the first calls, I'm telling, look, guys, I'm not professional, like in the real estate, in the gaming, in the cryptocurrency. But you will tell me, we will work with your managers every day, and like we will learn. So the business analysts, they are tasked to understand the core of our customers. Like you mentioned, the design, UI, UX design are supposed to be there because they need to understand. Right now, building the technology without in case we're talking about the technology, but where it's supposed to be people interaction, obviously. But it cannot be without the design. Like how Apple managed to, beat everyone. Great design. So right now it's impossible. Like our company right now is the first company in Ukraine based on Clutch.co version in Ukraine. So we're doing like based on their rating, we are on the first, and it seems to me the third one on the world. But change rating always changes. So wow. I can be wrong. But still, and design and business analyst is the super big key. Lots of our, customers who come into us, they are searching like, do you have the, React Native engineers? React Native is one of the type of the technologies that exists on the market. And I'm always telling, yes, we do. But are you sure that your problem is lack of React Native engineers? Give us please some time. And we kind of wanted to dive deeper. And when we do dive deeper, we understand that, okay, you really need this engineer. However, can we help you slightly change the process? And, it's basically the business tactic. We kind of giving one engineer, in the half year, there are 10 people, because it's not about just hands. It's about brains. I always tell them, like, we're not selling like people. We're not selling hands. We're selling brain and process and consultancy. Some kind of the expertise, because you always can hire team in-house. And very often you actually need it. I must be very honest and transparent. However, like when you're hiring us, you're hiring like, one, again, React Native engineer. In case he got the problem, in case your product got technical problem, he has the whole community of, 30 engineers in our company with who he can consult and then bring in that solution to your product. And tech updates of your product its speed is extremely important. Like we will have the new iPhone soon, or we already have the new iPhone. I don't know. I just used the old one. So like, And that's it. You need to update everything. You need to update everything immediately. And in case you are slower than your competitor, you're done. So that's like, okay, hope it
Wow.
makes sense.
I love the distinction and revisiting that question of in-house versus
Mhm.
outsource, because I think that's a question that I definitely don't know how to answer, and I think most entrepreneurs don't really know how to navigate, and it's sort of, this ad hoc decision that is made, on the fly when you need something done. It's at a certain point, but it requires a lot of thought, right? Because you need to build a different system around it, a different culture around it. You need to mitigate some risk and to plan ahead as well. So what is sort of your recommendation to founders, or from your experience, what have you observed was helpful as entrepreneurs make the decision to either go in-house or go
Well,
outsource?
I mean, I believe everyone expecting the answer like go outsource because I'm personally the CEO of outsource company. However, I will tell you the next one. It's very good to have at least chief technical officer in house. And from my experience, I can tell you this one: in case there is someone in house and then they hire us to help them, it work much more smoother. And I tell you why: because of the trust. Obviously, when you start working with the new people, you don't trust them, not because you are bad or they are bad, just because that's natural. You need some kind of the icebreaker, and you really have the great trust relationship like in 1.5 year. Before that, it's always, you reading the contracts, you're like I don't remember what is stated on the contract with someone who I work in more than 3 years. I really don't, and they don't too. However, any new people, they obviously read it, and that's okay. This is the business world. However, when you have someone in house, some part of the team, or at least one CTO, it's much more easier because this guy is the technical professional and he see that your outsourced team
Sure.
is okay. Like he kind of proven. He can prove to you expertise. So in case you're a non-technical guy and you make it a decision who you want to hire, in case you have the technical founder, it's easier for us to build the trust because this technical founder tell it, okay, work with them club, they doing the great job. And this ice breaking is usually taking longer in case there are no such kind of the person on the in-house, basically on the customer side. However, this is not the like deal breaker. We obviously can work without someone who is in-house still. But to be honest, yeah, this ice breaking period just taking longer, which is normally, I believe, because people acting very differently. Some of them understand technology, some of them are not. That's why, by the way, our business analysts, they have special, they have special list on the calls where they're supposed to explain all technical issue in case we see that, in case we understand that customer don't understand technical world. And this is also fine
Yeah.
because that's why we exist. I mean, otherwise we would not have no job. If everyone can code it himself, why software engineers supposed to exist?
So you are, obviously you could have chosen to go and create, your own company with a specific business need and scale it up as a traditional startup, but you're choosing to run LinkUp, which obviously is a big success, but it still requires a decision. Why did you decide that? What is sort of your, the internal decision that you had with yourself to do LinkUp as this company rather than a startup that's dedicated on
Thank
one
you for the
problem?
question. Well, I believe this is one of the big chunk of that decision. It's because in Lviv, in the area where our center, I mean, it's called like the Mecca of outsource. There are lots of outsource companies. So this model was clear, understandable, and when you go into the university, you have your teachers who are CEOs, and you look at those teachers and you're like, shit, I want to be like them. you know so that's one of the things, so you kind of understandable. By the way, I must tell that except the LinkUp itself, we used to try to launch like few startups. They didn't unfortunately succeed, but that's okay. Nothing, that there is low probability of the succeed, but and LinkUp have each of our customer, each of our product, it's small world. And in one moment, I just do understand that for me, super interesting to have my mind inside of each of these product that just focus on something one. I personally consider myself as as I put in some kind of the effort and I put in some kind of my soul into each of the product my company working with. You can randomly tell me any customer we do, and I can explain how this particular product changing the world or will change the world in case it's under development right now. I mean, like during these 9 years, I believe I used to touch someone more deeper, someone just touch, more than 100 products, honestly. And right for me, yes, that's really a lot.
That's a
And for
lot.
me right now, when someone new comment, I mean, I sometimes I feel like, this Groundhog Day, this feel where I'm repeating. And it's very common story when the people come and have this, as I told, like, we need engineers. I'm like, okay, guys, can we just talk? Give me 1 hour. Give me just 1 hour to speak to you. And then I said, okay, how about don't pay me, don't even hire me, just slightly change this, please. And then they come in after 2 months and said, okay, Andriy, your advice actually was good. Can we move forward? And it's like, yeah, of course we can. So, and for me, this is super exciting because you get it all of these dozen different experience. And by having all of this, you can be much more productive in what you're doing. And I believe it's not only me, that's also the engineers that work in my company, designers, BAs, and so on. And we just sorted people between projects in order to exchange this experience. And we have inner events to exchange the experience. And that's why we have like really very good engineers. Okay. Some kind of advertising, but to be honest, but that's how it's working.
Incredible. No. I think that it's awesome, and I can just see how excited you are about this. So I think it's really fun from my end to see this excitement and then sharing that passion with you for these 20 minutes. And I really appreciate you coming here and spending this time. I think that the outsource model, obviously, it's a really important one in our ecosystem. It's an enabler for companies who want to have more meaningful technology but don't have the necessarily the capacity or the ability to. So I think that you're doing a great service to them. And I think it's also awesome, the way that you managed to grow this into such an amazing team, going from, and scaling this up and doing it in Ukraine. And that's obviously a story for another episode. But for now, I really wish you best of luck with LinkUp and stay safe. And I hope that everything works out well. And I'm sure that it will. And so thank you very, very much, Andriy.
Yeah, thank you for listening to me. And I hope that was joyful and interesting.
It was fantastic. Thank you.